Hey everybody, Tag Life Done Free. Hey, today I present the video of Joel after the lunch. So if you remember the first video that I put out with Joel, he was speaking to the kids at the high school. The second one was the meeting with the administrators. This video is our trip back from that location to my farm. And we had a really good, deep, conversation. Right up front, I want to apologize. Sorry for the road noise, but, I'm driving down the road. So I tried to minimize it the best I could with the software that I have. But anyway, if you're interested in the one-on-one conversation between Jess, Tag, and Joel, come on, let's check it out.
We have the best young people in the world. Every single year. And these CEOs, business people come, they're there 5 minutes, they pull me aside and say, where do you get these young people? And they're just the best in the world. So we were there talking, and she was kind of shaking her head, and I was telling her, it's this perception. And she said, yeah, I said, I can come and do this. I mean, it's nothing. But she said, we haven't been to Polyface, we haven't done it. All this sounds so intimidating and big, and wow, 6,000 chickens, and she said, now having been there, she said 2 weeks ago I built 2 chicken shelters. I'm running 100 broilers, by myself on part-time. She works in a regular job, but she says, you just buckle down and do it, and it's not a big deal. So anyway, we were talking about that. I know how easy it is to do it, but it all gets stuck in all this regulation and perceptions and expectations.
I've always been this huge proponent that this has got to live beyond me, and how do I create perpetual sustainability? And I don't know how to do it without getting to the kids. I don't know how.
Yeah.
We're going to have to find a way. The good news is that we have their ear.
Yeah.
I think it was neat that the board of directors, one of the board members was there, the superintendent was there, and the president of the board will be at my house today. So we'll be able to, pick his ear just a little bit. What advice would you give me? How do I keep this thing going? How do I take what happened today? And continue it? Continue to push the string. I guess I'll word it that way.
Yeah. Well, I will certainly write up my things in a little white paper, if you will.
Yep.
And what you need an ally in the system that's willing to push as hard on it as you are. And if you have that, chances are something will happen. It might not be everything you want initially, but chances are something will happen. But pushing from the outside,
I'll never get there.
You never gets there. You gotta have an inside person.
Well, Mr. Howard is very open to this, and then obviously I have Jess, who's in the back seat as a teacher there,
Right.
who's pushing really hard. So I think I've got the allies to push it. I don't want to overwhelm them, and I want to get them to I just need to get them to take a step, because I'm convinced that I can find Make America Healthy Again grants and all kinds of things if the school will actually do something with it. But I would definitely take any advice I could get, because again, it's got to be bigger than me. The other good news is we're heading where the ice cream is, so.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that was real nice there. That was a nice cozy place. That couple, boy, they've done some good stuff.
Any pitfalls you would, other than the regulations and the things you just talked about, that you'd encourage me to watch out for? And I know there'll be be a bunch.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest logistical issues is that a lot of this, the growing season is in the summer when the kids aren't in school, and the heavy eating system is in the off season when the production isn't happening. So that's a tension. I've done this kind of thing all over. Everyone I say, if you really want to be the leader in this, switch your school season and go to school in the spring, summer, fall, and take off in the winter. And I've never had a school do it yet. But that ultimately that suddenly makes everything easy after that. But you know, that
would make so much sense.
Sure, it makes sense.
But that's why they don't do it.
Yeah. Well, so the other thing I didn't even get into because we started talking about something else, Joel, was we used almost all of our snow days that were allowed this year because of the storms that were coming through. And if we got through, I think, 2 more snow days, we would have had to make up those any days that we had missed after that. So it extends our school year. Well, that eliminates having to give away free days where you're paying your teachers to be off for nothing, right? Because they're off anyway.
Right.
And then they're working through the summer when there's less risk of them taking 10 paid days off. Now, I'm a teacher. I'm advocating for those paid days off. I'm not saying I don't like them, but if we were flipping our school year, you would eliminate that cost of teachers being paid for not coming in.
That's right. And I mean, the only reason that it is the way it is because when it started, all the kids were farm kids and the families wanted them home to help
do the farming
and farming in the summer.
Exactly what you're talking about.
But now that's just a non-issue.
Right. Well, now it's about Disneyland and Florida and
Well, if you want to go when it's cheap, go in the winter. If you want to go to Disneyland in the summer, go in the winter. It's half the price and the weather's nicer.
See, why they didn't go this way blows me away. This is such a quicker way to go.
They didn't want to be on the.
He was showing him the scenic route.
Yeah.
I was proud of the students today. You know, certainly wasn't all of them, but there was a large part that was watching and listening. And you were reaching some of them. Yeah. We'll never know how many, but reaching some of them. That made me feel really, really good.
Yeah, it made me too. Yeah, because of all the audiences, that's the hardest audience right there. Those teenagers, that is hard to reach.
Well, you did good mentioning TikTok. That was genius.
Yeah, the COVID ones. I was watching the whole audience. Yeah, wonderful. The vast majority of that audience, 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
But that's what makes our school great.
Yeah.
You know, is that we all feel that way. This is, you know, a community coming together and saying, no, this isn't what we want. And, you know, Jim, the superintendent, his favorite uncle passed away during COVID, and he had to choose whether to go fight the fight of no masking or go to his uncle's funeral. And he said, I knew my uncle would want me to fight the good fight and not go to his funeral if it meant the kids would have to mask. And he goes, I strongly feel if I had attended the funeral, we would have been forced to mask. Instead, I was able to attend, and I stood up for it, and we ended up not masking. And I just thought that was just unprecedented. I mean, you don't have, everybody else was cowering. Everybody was cowering. What started out as a 2 weeks to stop the spread, 10 days ended up being 2 years. And it's like,
you know what, Jess?
And the whole thing turned out to be,
it knew when you were at a restaurant because you had to wear your mask to the restaurant chair, to the table. But once you know.
Yeah, once you get there, you take it off.
It knew, oh, we're at the dinner table, don't spread.
This is why I think we have a shot at being successful, because we have a school who will take a stand. They've proven they will take a stand. So at least, maybe me just being optimistic, but it gives me hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Mr. Howard asked Joel, what is any other school in the country doing this that we could look at their model? And Joel mentioned Virginia? Vermont. The other V state.
Yeah. There's a lot of schools. Not what they're doing local food. They're not growing it on campus, but they're doing local food. This is one step even beyond. beyond getting local food.
Well, when I had presented the idea to the board, Joel, the clerk came up to me. She's the superintendent's secretary, and she says, there's grant money out there for the schools to purchase food from farms locally to feed to their students.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, well, how can we start capitalizing on that? Not necessarily capitalizing in the way that we're making profit, but utilizing that resource for what we need to do to get these systems started. I think the biggest resistance is when people think they're scared of it or it's impossible, they don't even want to try.
Yeah, that's right.
And so when you start presenting things like we have manpower to start, helping the kids build the infrastructure or come up with the fences or whatever it is.
Well, it's like I was telling Brianna, I said, the school already has an agricultural program. What could be more consistent with an agriculture program than this? And like she said, at our farm, as a steward, what we do there is we rotate every week. 1 week you do pigs, 1 week you do chickens, 1 week you do cows, 1 week you do turkeys and broilers, and we rotate so everybody gets a smattering, gets to kind of get their feet wet on all these different things. It makes it exciting. It makes it completely, changes the psychological element of repetition, and that could be done here as part of the ag curriculum, and the kids could just rotate through the different species, and including the horticulture and pruning trees, and goodness gracious, there could be.
You're changing their life forever.
Yeah,
right.
Out of the program,
Giving them a skill.
out of the program could actually could germinate literally a generation of land stewards that'll do something competitive to Bill Gates.
Amen.
Because in the next 15 years, half of all America's farmland is going to change hands.
Yep.
Because the average farmer is 60 years old. So
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It's never happened in any civilization without conquest. It's only happened in conquest. And so if we make through this transition peacefully, we'll be the first civilization ever to do it. Ever. And right now, BlackRock, Vanguard, Bill Gates, they're buying land up as fast as they can buy it.
China's buying our land.
Yeah, some.
But why is that allowed? Another country? I think that as our own country, our sovereign country, it shouldn't be up for grabs for other countries.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that.
And I found out not too long ago we get beef from out of our country. Why? Why would we get any food that we could produce? I understand the produce side of it with Mexico and such and getting it cheaper, but why would we import beef when we have the ability to raise our own? I don't.
Why would you import anything like that? We
Right.
can grow everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to get the government out of our way, and I think to Joel's point earlier, we need to allow the food system to get smaller.
Yes.
Get
Yes.
localized. And, you can still import, you can still, trade your apples in Kansas for your bananas and wherever.
Right.
Generally, that food source needs to get smaller. That food supply chain needs to get smaller.
Yeah, it gets shorter.
Right.
Well, and you said it. There's a Pillsbury Doughboy right on the front of this fruital.
Yeah.
So the big
That was
conglomerates.
great, by the way.
Yeah.
That might have been my favorite part because that calls them out. I love that.
Well, it shows that the big companies have taken over to control and dominate the market of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And they're making money off poisoning our children.
Yeah, that's right. So then, logistically, or politically logistically, then you come to this question: do we spend our time trying to get those donuts out of the school, or do we just disentangle and do our own thing? I'm of the belief at this point in my life that I don't have time to sit here and wrangle over whether Pillsbury should be in the school. Let's just exit the system.
Yes.
And let's build a parallel universe over here. Forget it. You know, we can get way farther, way faster by freeing ourselves from this entanglement than trying to change the entangled system to something that we like.
Yes.
You know, if we get that, the new education system they're promising us, where we get to choose and our tax dollars go towards what we choose, we'll make that decision a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
This right here, Joel, so you know, this is Holton Direct Care.
Okay.
So we have our own medical system here.
Okay.
Where Dr. Lassie got tired of the system, built his own clinic. I pay $75 a month. There's no insurance taken. So we in our community, that's our direct care facility right there. And didn't mean to change the subject, but
Yeah.
But we have broken that system as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And what does he call it? Common sense medicine?
Common sense medicine. And how wonderful is that?
Yeah, we're getting more and more of these doctors that are, we go to a functional medicine doctor that is just so much a visit, and he'll take Bitcoin, gold, silver,
I love it.
or U.S. cash. And
No eggs?
He might take eggs in a little while.
Barter. We actually take meat and eggs to our chiropractor. That's a barter arrangement, and we've been doing that for 10 years.
How wonderful is that? One of the things you do that I find always fascinating to me is you have hubs, you know, drop points or whatever you call it, you know, where you kind of go around, and I think that's the right model.
Yeah.
And maybe for Jackson Heights, you know, we get them, you know, doing some eggs and some stuff like that, but maybe the long-term picture or the easiest path is just get them purchasing local from local farmers who grow it the right way.
That's fine.
Maybe that's an easier, maybe that's easier to get to.
Yeah. Well, in general, yes, I think it is.
I wonder.
Because that stuff's already in commerce anyway. But then the problem becomes the cost. Because those local farmers, I don't sell cheap food, and the government, whatever the plate cost. So I'll tell you what, I was in a district in Florida, and they wanted to get local grass-finished beef in their school lunch program. Well, there was no way that the lunch allotment budget would support grass-finished beef in the school lunch. What they did, they bought local grass-finished beef from a farmer, and they took the top end of the animal, the loins, the ribeye, the sirloin. They took the top end of the animal and sold it to parents in the school district, which then allowed them to bring the ground beef, which they used in the bottom half of the animal. They used that in the school lunch program, and they made budget.
Love this.
That is smart.
Really creative.
That's smart.
Yeah, the hard part of that's just the logistics of it all.
Yeah.
Who do you get in charge and who's doing?
Yeah. Well, they had a dining services gal that was just indomitable. I mean, we're gonna figure out a way to make local food possible, and so she did the messaging to get buy-in from parents that could afford the top end of the animal, and you know, they get recognized, you know, sponsors of the local school, blah blah blah, and so make it happen.
So how do I handle, or how would you prefer that I handle when Jim Howard of the school board says, "Can you please connect me with Joel Salatin?" Because I don't give information out.
Yeah.
Because you get bombarded.
Right.
So
I would say, and we could do it a couple ways. One is you could give my email to Jim Howard, just one, or I could do everything through you,
which I'm fine with too.
Which might a little bit keep you in the driver's seat.
Which I like.
Yeah.
From a political equity standpoint, it might be a better approach, actually. Just so that they stay one hand breadth away, understanding that they don't own the baby.
Yeah.
There's some value in that.
Yeah. In this whole event, the only person that got directly copied with your email address was me and Jess.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I just never give out
you get bombarded.
emails.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if every email,
unless it's somebody that wants to buy a $10,000 or something from somebody, yeah, then I'll
You'll take that.
I'll hook you up or go with my insurance agent. You're ready to put your farm under my insurance agent. Yeah, I know he's happy for that. He's very happy for that referral.
But can you give me a consult over the phone?
right? That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man. Oh, the worst. The worst is when the Amish get your phone number. Oh my.
Tell me about that.
Oh well, they don't email, and and so they got this. They just call you on the phone, and they don't have any problem talking for an hour, but they won't spend $20 on a book.
Right.
Oh man, our whole team just. You can tell them when they call and we have to do something.
I get a lot of people who reach out and say, "Hey, can you tell us how to build a community, or can you spend a day with us?" And like, and the truth is, I'd love to. There's just not enough hours today.
Right.
I can't do it all.
Well, that's why I wrote a book. Because I got tired of coming in and having 6 phone calls. How do you do this pasture poultry thing? And so I said, we need a manual. So in 1991, I sat down and wrote out a manual, and we sold that for 2 years, and then turned it into the book, and man, that thing sold 100,000 copies, which for no advertising, self-published, backwater, nothing is.
Which one's your best-selling book?
You Can Farm. You Can Farm is the best. Folks, this ain't normal. Is close behind.
That's the one that I think you're known the best for. That's the one I hear people talk about. Fiona, the young lady with the pink hair that was filming today. She comes from such a great family, homeschooled, all that. She says, when I get back, I got to run home and get my everything I want to do is a big book, so Joel can sign it. Which is so neat. So neat. Isn't that much quicker, Jess, this way?
Jim's a slow driver. I think he wanted to take Joel on the roller coaster roads. Our bellies, I was getting butterflies every time we would go down one. It was a lot of fun on that road.
Those were about as steep as I've ever seen on a highway like that. I've just never seen that kind of.
Well, and we thought Kansas was flat. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dorothy, it was flat.
Yeah, that's right.
Western Kansas.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure you know this, like I told you this, we have a local boy who's working at Politics right now.
Okay.
Yep, named Wyatt.
Oh, Wyatt. Okay. Yeah.
He's from Kansas City.
Right. See, I've been gone ever since they started.
Okay.
May 1. So I get back Sunday night, and next week I'll be home all week, and I'll get acquainted with everybody. But
I know him and his family. Middle ground. Seem to be decent folks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't vouch for him or anything. I just don't know him that well. But,
Yeah.
But I just think it's neat. We have a local kid who's in Virginia right now.
Yeah. Well, Brianna's 2.5 hours away.
Okay.
I asked for her contact info. She said she's getting ready to butcher 50 broilers.
Yeah.
And I told her, being only 2 hours away, I'd be glad to come down and help you with anything.
Oh.
Does she live on her own with her family on a farm?
Yeah, she lives on her with her family. And
Beautiful girl.
oh yeah, she is.
Sweet personality.
Nice.
Laughing at everything you had to say up there.
Well, she knows me. She's got a little bit of pre-understanding.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I was
Well,
thinking,
what's-
I hope she goes to school here.
I think I knew it, but I'd forgotten it. She's coming out for 10 or 12 days this summer. We do a summer camp, and one of our former apprentices does it as a subcon. It's her business, her baby, and so Anna is coming out to be her helper for one of the weeks of the summer camp.
I like her. She was very nice.
She sat between Matt and I in the Intimidator. So I thought it was very cool that she could just jump into a car with people that she didn't know and be totally comfortable.
Yeah.
You know if they got all them back to the farm?
I saw Mario loading up one of them before we left the property.
Yeah, we call him Mario because he's an adrenaline junkie, a race car driver,
And a plumber.
A plumber.
This is Matt?
No, Mario. He was walking around with us.
okay.
Mike is his name. We call him
Mike.
We'll have some fun with these guys.
Did Brianna know how to get back here?
I gave my address.
Okay.
And if you get this far, you're not going to miss this.
Well, I just didn't know if she knew where to go from Red
I'm
Rock.
going to ask him where we buy tickets. Funny. I'm trying to remember my wife's car.
That's Joel's window.
I'm going to have to ask you to turn around.
Where do we get tickets?
Hi.
Yes.
Hi, honey.
It's Vernon.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I think I talked to her today at the school. A little bit.
Oh, U.S. government car.
U.S. government
I know, right?
car.
Gotta be
Oh,
careful
look at
about
you.
that.
You look good.
Hi.
I've
I'm
seen
Joel.
you a few years ago. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
I met you. I'm a huge fan.
Yep.
Hi, man.
Hi,
Everything
Moo
good?
I
Moo.
hope you like it.
Oh, I'm sure it's fine.
Got everything.
Dude, they have been cooking for days and preparing for days. And
I'm pretty sure you could park right up in front.
I'll deliver Joel
How
and
about
move the
that?
car.
And Jess.
And Jack, sorry. Yes.
Well, Joel, I think you did a phenomenal job. We're up against an army of
Yeah.
naysayers, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to the outcome.
Yeah.
You know, one thing was the board member, Michelle, the lady in the white shirt with the black stripes,
Yeah.
she comes from a farming background. So having that could also be looked at as an ally because she understands the value of what her family has raised her in. I feel like the paparazzi here.
Wow.
Look at this front row parking. Well, I hope you enjoyed Joel's conversation on the way back. You know, I got a lot out of it, and it did a great job of reinforcing the uphill battle that's in front of us in order to get the school to change and to adapt and to feed our kids healthy. But it also was encouraging to me to know that we have support in a lot of places. You know, the other thing is the next video that I put out will be Joel and just the community day and, you know, hanging out and eating and the fun stuff. So this will be the last of, you know, him speaking, you know, primarily. And the next one will be the community day. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.